to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Lord, we thank you that we can come before you tonight and do the business of the city of Newcastle. We thank you for the blessings that you have given us, and we pray that you'll protect our city and our workers and our people. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Roll call, please.
Mike Duffy.
Present.
Jeff Hancock.
Present.
Jerry Walden.
Present.
Aaron Dickens.
Here.
Mark Covert.
Here.
Lynn Purdue.
Here.
Rex Peckinpah.
Here. Okay, do we have any additions to the minutes, or do we want to approve them?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Seconded. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. There's no discussion. We'll move on to a roll call vote.
Mike Duffy.
Aye.
Jeff Hancock.
Aye.
Jerry Walden.
Abstain.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Covert.
Aye.
Lynn Purdue.
Aye.
Rex Peckinpah.
Aye. Now we're coming to the part where we approve and make additions to the agenda. Are there any additions? Here none, then we will move on. Now we're to the point of public comments. Does anybody in the public wish to come forward and comment?
Come right up here. Mr. Mayor, City
And,
Council member.
we know who you are, but please state your name and address for the record so that.
William Huber, H-U-B-E-R. I live out on 250 North Sulphur Springs Road. And the reason I'm bothering you all tonight is because during Lent, the Council 1755 St. Anne's raised funds for a sign to go down the north into this building somewhere. And Marge Sign has given us an estimate of about $1,200 for the 3x5 multicolored sign with the arrow and location of the baby box on the end of the building up here on the north side. And we wanted to get the mayor's office and the council's approval before we gave Margeson $1,200 and not have a place to put the sign. So that's what we're after tonight. We want to get approval to place the sign in the lawn up in the north corner of that Spring Street that goes down to the baby house. I think it is.
Yeah.
And so we envision a 3x5 sign, highly reflective, no lights or anything would bother the neighbors, and with an arrow going down, and baby box location, and then the hotline for the baby box, and then maybe first responder motif along the bottom. But basically, it'll be a green and white sign.
Would we mount that on the side of the building, or would that be mounted like in the shrubs, or in the
Well,
yard, or?
In the lawn, you just shove it down in the dirt. It's got spikes, and it goes down in the dirt. And between there's a big tree out there, and between that tree and the sidewalk, or maybe even north of that. So
I think it'd be good if you could have Margison's do a picture of it and colored copy of it and bring it to us. And, I mean, it's up to the council, but
Be nice to see it before we approve it.
yeah.
And then I need to ask,
Yes.
Ms. McNellis, is this a historic preservation issue? Would this be something they would have to see too,
I was sitting here trying to figure out the locations, like you guys were on the historic.
or? Okay, yes, okay.
There we go.
All right. I thought I would ask you
You're
out
talking
of
this building, is that what you're?
this
talking
building,
about?
yes.
Right.
Yeah, basically, it's the northeast corner of the property.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to
Okay.
pay Margeson $600 for sketches. And then, of course, that, whatever she doesn't spend doing the sketches, which we can bring back for final approval if you like.
Assuming it's two-sided.
Yes, two-sided, highly reflective. she gave us two options, one with the sign printed and then the arrow and the baby box location glued onto the sign are all one. And we would rather have to pay the extra $200.
What's going to be the height on
Well, what we envision is a 3 by 5 foot, that's standard flag size.
that? Yeah, what about height up off the ground?
Well, we can put it all the way on the ground, probably. I mean, we don't want to get it real high.
You're talking about metal stakes though going in. Would it be better to use something else where it's permanent, where the wind won't, wind and all that with the signs? Like a permanent wooden or on the building or something like that?
What material is the sign gonna be made out of? Is it the corrugated plastic, or is it literally,
A metal frame.
It's like a street sign.
Corrugated plastic.
Maybe a corrugated plastic.
We want to get it out where people driving down Main Street or up Main Street can see that, yes, we do have a baby box.
It might be better to do something permanent than the metal signs where the wind won't be.
Would you mind working with Chief Moore, making sure it's not going to hinder the visibility from fire trucks or vehicles or anything like that?
Yeah, we don't want to
I
have
know
it,
that too.
we don't want to have it where,
Close to the ground at 3 feet is probably not going to be obstructed for us at all.
yeah, the apparatus driver sets up higher than the
I'd say if you could get us a picture and then we can see what it's made out of and figure out how we're gonna mount it in the ground.
Okay.
I think just spikes with the wind that we have and snow, and I wanna make sure that it's permanent enough that
I think so, yeah.
it doesn't blow over or isn't easily tipped over.
Well, if you're spending that kind of money on it,
Yeah.
you want to too. you know.
Right, yeah.
It sounds like a property sales sign, right? Like that metal frame where they can just slide the sign in. So majority of that cost is probably for the frame,
Could
I'd
be.
imagine.
Well, they do have, they have to print both sides of it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but, yeah, I don't know, when it's set in concrete,
I don't think we'll really know until we actually see it, see how heavy it is.
okay,
Bring it back to us and let's look at it.
Yeah.
The best
I'll
option.
bring the sketches in, and then,
Okay.
if you approve the sketches, then I'll get the sign made and print it.
Well, if we approve that point, you'll be able to put it in.
Be good.
Yeah.
Say if you spend $600,
Yeah.
we're giving,
Right.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.
Anyone else wishes to come forward? Okay.
You sure she needs a microphone?
It's just so you can hear it online.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Terry Barrett with Newcastle Main Street, and recently we were putting together a big old, well, you guys know, you helped do it. Put together a grant for Okra called Preserving Main Street, and part of that grant, we had to go through all of the comprehensive plans that anybody's ever done. And so I was looking at our comprehensive plan, and I was like, man, we've done some stuff. So I asked Rex if I could come and just talk for a few minutes and highlight a couple of things, or highlight one thing tonight that we've done that has been a real success. So this.
So
is
you
kind of-
okayed this, huh? You approved?
He didn't okay it, he just didn't say.
She
no.
kind of, it's like, you've been there, she kind of strong. You kind of feel intimidated a little bit.
I hang up real quick for you a second before I hear it. Okay, so this was done in 2018. I'm sure some of you remember it. But we did it with Structure Point, and it's intended to be a living document that we look at occasionally. So that's kind of my goal, is to look at it sometimes. And as I was going through this, I was looking at some things, and one of the things that caught my eye that you've already done really well is a land bank, and it's had real success. And I know that was a #1 priority in this book. I photocopied some sheets for you guys, but it was a #1 priority. It was a mid-level price range, and it utilized land use and development, which encourages orderly and responsible development, and housing and neighborhood, which encourages the development of quality, affordable housing for residents of all income levels. So once we were looking at the land bank, I wanted to invite Mike Doyle. There are several members on here, right? Jerry, Mike, Ed, there's more. And Zach, I'm sorry, Zach. So I wanted to invite Mike just to talk and rag on the land bank a little bit, and then I'm done. I'm done.
Thank you, Carrie. I've given you all an update in the past, but when Carrie came up to me and asked me if I'd help her out on this, went back and started compiling some information. The land bank's been talked about before 18. It took a long time to get things rolling. We officially started in 21 and sold our first property in March of 22. And we started out with a list of properties that the city already owned. There were 32 properties listed on there. Some of them were just little slivers, some of them were lots, a few houses. But we started with that list. We added on to that with in March of 23, and we acquired them in July, 9 more properties from the county that were in the city limits. And then we're in the process of acquiring, I think 11 more properties from the county. Should be finalized sometime this month, I think, right? Yep. Joel, along with all the members of the land bank, Joel is a huge part of that, taking care of the closing on all these properties and making sure we're doing the right thing. We've sold 12 of those properties in the last 16 months. So we feel like we're doing pretty good. Been a little slow this summer, but we've got 2 more applications coming up this Thursday and probably another one after that. So there's several in the process. And 4 of those 32 properties are farm ground that the city owns. 2 of them they don't want to sell. I think they've been taking bids on 2 other ones. Habitat for Humanity has acquired 1. They're looking at closing on another one maybe as soon as this Thursday. I'm not sure on that. And but because of the land bank success, we talked to the county commissioners and council about this. Jerry and I spoke up there, and they're starting their land bank soon. And I've heard, and Joel, you may be able to help me out on this, are they doing away with the internet sales and going to live
That's
sales?
been talked about. I haven't heard a
Okay.
definitive answer on that, but I know that has been
We're
discussed.
hoping that happens, where we
Be good.
quit getting the out-of-state people purchasing these properties, and there's no way to go back on them if they don't keep them up. So, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to talk to Jerry or I, Zach, Ed, any of them. So, appreciate the help.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
I think I said a few meetings ago how happy I was. One day I turned a corner and there was a sign in the yard that said it was for sale by the land bank.
Yeah,
I mean,
we need to get more of those out.
yeah, that just thrilled my heart.
I don't need to know this tonight, but I'd be curious, long-term, what's happened with each property the land bank has sold. I mean, just curious.
Most of them has been the adjacent homeowners buying a lot or splitting a lot,
Yeah.
turning it into a bigger yard or
And so
playground.
majority of it's lots and not buildings.
Right,
Yeah.
we've had
One
one
house.
structure,
Habitat's building a house on one, aren't they?
yes.
Yes.
Great, perfect, thanks.
And, we went from that seed money from the foundation,
Right.
$5,000, and now we're almost at $55,000.
Awesome.
So it's been very successful, and it's because of hard work from Ed and Mike and
Right.
Zach, and,
Yeah.
and it's, in the support of this council and administration. It was talked for a long time at our meetings before that happened, wasn't it? It's something that we ought to be very proud of, because it's been real successful.
Heck, I can remember sitting in Hamilton's kitchen
Yeah.
with Gretchen from Muncie.
Yeah.
When this started probably 10, 12 years ago. Yeah, it's come a long way, and it's unbelievable.
With the funds that Jerry's talking about, we're talking with the building inspector's office about helping them demo some other places that are in bad shape. They've gone through a couple, one out in Hospital Heights that they tore down about a month and a half ago. It was discussed at the city council meeting, but I know they're trying to get the property at corner of Circle and 14th Street,
Yeah.
an eyesore.
And that takes a lot of time. That
Sure
just-
does.
That doesn't.
Oh, yeah,
It's just like the property out there in Hospital Heights, that'd been. in
But the
limbo
best
for
thing
a while.
about this is we got it up, it's operational, our members know what's going on. And when the properties come available, they're there and this is gold.
It's
It's
functioning.
gold.
Yeah,
It's absolute gold. It is. And and we got that. We might not get the stellar grant because of that, but we got it.
And Mark, I'm real excited too, Mark, because the county's gonna follow suit, kind
Yes.
of blueprint off of what we've been able to put
Yes.
together, so.
And there's
That's
gonna be other
awesome.
communities that's gonna approach you guys and wanna know how you do
It's already
it.
happened.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Let's put that property back in a positive
Yeah, it's,
tax
Yeah,
base.
right. At the very least.
And with the exception of just one or two of them, it has already either improved the property by somebody else mowing it, or it's already been demoed or built a structure on it. But at least the neighbors that have purchased it has started taking care of it. And it's
absolutely.
not 2-foot tall weeds. So.
Okay, any other citizens wishing to come forward? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to committee reports. Mr. Guffey?
Yes, I was approached, and I told them that I'd bring this before the council. Fitzgerald Trail at 24th Street that comes out there to Washington Street, it's just a little jump over to the trail. But they was wondering if there's any way a sidewalk could be put in there to keep them out of the mud, walking through the grass, the weeds. It's just weeds, it's not grass. I just thought I'd just bring it before the council. I told them I would.
Mike,
to
that's
see
one
what we could do.
of my dream projects. and-
I know it was.
And the engineering behind it, because if you go from Spring Street to Washington Street with that, that's another walking path.
Right.
Tying that all together.
And I understand, the whole sidewalk might be kind of tough. I don't know how people would feel like, a sidewalk being, you've talked to people, I've talked to people, but I'm just saying, as of right now, if there's something,
The way our sidewalk program works, if the people on that street wanted a sidewalk, all they'd have to do is all get together. It would cost them very little, because right now I think we'll give them almost all the money you need to put one in. Yeah,
pretty good.
$1,000 is pretty good. So if they wanted a sidewalk, they could
Right.
get together and
But
probably put one
I
in.
told them I would ask on the other side of Washington Street, just a little ways to Fitzgerald Trail. It's not far. I don't know feet-wise how big it is, but.
We'd
Oh, go ahead.
we'd have to look at it, because right in there, pretty close,
You got
some
some
that's in the
wetlands.
floodplain, some that's in
You got
the
some
flood
wetland.
zone.
You got wetland there.
Yeah.
But
So-
I think, I don't know where that would be. I went out and personally looked at it. It looks like it might be away from that, but, I haven't seen the maps.
Well,
But I told them I'd mention it.
We have the city property there too, where the water tower is, so. Down by there.
But I would suggest maybe mention to them the sidewalk program, because they could put a sidewalk in a lot cheaper with a lot less hassle than if the city of Newcastle came over. And you tell me if I'm wrong, Dave, but if the city of Newcastle came over and we wanted to put one in, we'd have to jump through a lot of hoops to put it in, and we'd have to get land acquisition probably from each of those people. And I mean, it would
And
be
I've mentioned that
tough
to a lot of
situation.
people. They don't know really, that's a gym. That's a gym to use that sidewalk. That's a pretty good deal, but mainly what I was just talking about was just on the other side of Washington Street, just that little
Just from the
stretch
street
to
to
the
the
trail.
trail.
To the trail. I just thought I'd mention. Maybe it's something we can do.
Any more? Mr. Hancock?
Yes, I got a few things. First of all, got a phone call, truck route at Grady, they're not following the signs or anything, so I don't know what we need to do and all that.
And I'm glad you're getting them calls now.
Yeah.
I still get them too, Jeff.
Yeah.
I actually even talked to a truck driver.
Yeah, so I told him I'd forward, I don't know what we
It's
need
tough.
to do or whatever, if you just stuff and,
We can only, next thing is start signing them all.
yeah, yeah, and you can't do all that and all that, but I
We can do it when we see.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm with Lynn, why not? Because the plant manager at Grady told me, he said, cite them.
Yeah, it hasn't made a difference.
It's not their
and all that
trucks.
stuff.
Right.
It's not Grady's trucks.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
plenty of signs down there. I
Oh,
know
yeah.
there's one
Yes.
or not.
Every
Yeah.
time it's
Yeah.
sold, they ought to get some.
So, they're not paying attention, so if we need to cite a few, the word will get out, so
Yeah.
some of them
Yep.
get cited and all that.
Yes.
We had a request, maybe a street light at Chriswell and Midway Drive. I went and talked to a few of the people down there. Somebody wouldn't answer their doors, the other said. But when I looked at it and all that, the pole's right in front of someone's yard, and I'm sure they don't want their whole front yard lit up and all that, so I'd recommend no on that. I'm sure someone on Chriswell Street just wants to see how to make the turn and all that, but I know if I had a street light or a pole in front of my house, I wouldn't want a street light shining in my windows or lighting up my front yard, so. The other thing is, I'm getting some phone calls with flags. Dave, will you put it on, or will you put it either on the website, McGrew Edition, and Dave, would you explain why there's flags on?
Flags, that's the gas company. They're gonna be here this year and possibly even next. I've had 3 different contacts now. They keep shifting out the foremans, and they've got a new foreman I just called today to see if he would give me a map showing what's finished,
Yeah.
what's coming, and a schedule, so I could try to answer some of these questions.
Okay. Yeah, if we get that on the city website and possibly in the paper, what's going on in the McGrew Edition, that would help out.
That's
a
new
great-
gas lines like they're doing everywhere else,
Yeah.
new mains,
Yeah.
and I think they're even putting in new services and some new meters.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's just so many up there, and there's so many questions, curiosity. Skate park, looks great. Open, I went by there, there were several people there and all that stuff. Are you having a grand opening then, or
It is.
ribbon cutting ceremony?
Past Saturday.
Please, okay.
That was Pointer Brothers. That was their.
Okay.
They just had an event.
Yeah. Kudos, hat off. And the other thing is, we've had too many officers' funerals. I seen on the news and all that where Indiana ranked 2nd, Louisiana's had 6, and we're at 5. So, and I know the mayor said we have one of the best, and we do, emergency services, but they don't know what they challenge when EMS goes out, fire department or police. Each day is a challenge and all that stuff. They're sworn to protect us and all that, and they do. And I just want you to remember, even the military, active and non-active, just tell them a thank you. Appreciate what all you do and all that stuff. We're very lucky to have you guys, and appreciate you very much. Thank you very much for all you, so, that's all, Your Honor.
Dave, they have been going around replanting flags and repainting, gas company has, because, people mow their yards and those flags kind of get displaced, so.
Yeah.
That is going on too.
Yeah.
Some places. And I got with Jeff just to add to that, or with Dave, just to add to that, those paving coverings on the holes that they put in so far, that's just put in there as temporary to hold the rocks in place, correct, Dave? Because I had some people asking me, is
Yeah.
that what it's going to look like?
Well, I contacted them too, and I told them that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
Well, that's temporary patching where so it wouldn't be stone where it's coming out of holes all the time. So they said they will have a crew come back and restore them and do them right.
So
Do
they're
you know
gonna,
when
so they're
gonna
gonna.
do that, Dave? Do you know?
I haven't got a date on it.
Okay.
Like I said, just today, I got the guy I was dealing with is working in northern Illinois, and he's from Wisconsin. He was the foreman in town.
Yeah.
So they've shifted him up there, and they've got a new guy, Ted. I'm not even met him personally yet, but I did talk to him on the phone today.
I hate losing that.
I know.
He's good.
Yeah, Chad was good.
So they're gonna cut the road,
What
saw
the-
it?
Well, what they're doing.
Because I've had people ask me, are they gonna repave the whole road? I don't think so.
No, they're cutting out where they insert the pipes, and then at the junctions, of course, it's a bigger
Right.
cutout. It's kind of.
I know you went around, I think, maybe and talked to some of them.
Oh, yeah, I
So,
watched them.
Why
do it.
the biggest thing that I see about the whole thing, they start and then they don't finish and they jump to another side of town.
Well, that's because of the allocation of the gas and trying to get people hooked up. And
Okay.
It's very interesting to watch that process, because they weld those pipes together, get them in, get them covered. It's amazing.
Yeah, they came down my road and they've left. They stopped in front of the school and they hadn't been back.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if you knew
I talked to
anything
him
about
about you, Mike, so that might be.
No. I was just curious, because they are jumping all over town. I mean, we see it.
Yeah, but
They are, man. It's like.
don't be
it's
afraid
like
to
how in the
stop
world
and
do
ask
they-
them questions,
Right.
because they'll stop and talk to you, so,
Introduce yourself, talk to them,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
they're- I've had real good success, and watch the process, because that technology's something else, how they do that. So, it's really interesting.
The only bad thing about these new lines going in, they just abandon the old lines.
Yeah.
And every time we have a project, when you're digging and you find an old line, you don't know if it's active or not.
Confused.
As Greg smiles at that.
It's frustrating, yeah, very.
I know we got the State Road 3 project coming up, and it's going to be huge coming through town. And I just wanted to step back for a few minutes and talk about what we went through with State Road 38 Broad Street. The mayor was cordial enough to invite me to a Greenfield meeting when they had the preliminary meetings with the city officials. I think some county officials were there, railroads were there, utility companies were there, and that just filled us in with the information, what was going to take place, where they'd be located, kind of a timeline. Of course, when you're dealing with railroad companies, that delayed us, 3 weeks, almost a month because of that. But those meetings are very informative. Once they were ready to actually start, they did have, I remember 2 public meetings, was there a third?
Yeah, they're gonna have a public meeting coming up, either September or October. They're not definitive on the date yet.
Okay.
We
But that's what they did in the past, and the meetings were well attended, they were very informative, so that's very beneficial.
Yeah, because this project's still a little over a year out,
Yeah.
year and a half.
And I know, Mayor, you and Dave worked very closely with the state on 16th Street, 18th Street, Broad Street, and you were able to give them your concerns. I know we were told that you need to keep in mind it's a state project, not a city project, right? Asking about who's going to stripe parking places.
Yep.
But it's, there are some issues, like on 16th Street. If the state hadn't agreed to replace that water main on their own, Greg's been digging it up 2 months after that new pavement, when they get it finished.
Yeah, that was one of our worst lines in town.
Over 100 years old, right? That's what the construction workers told me. Then down at Kentucky Avenue, we got a larger displacing drain there. That property hasn't been flooding, so that's good.
That's a good thing.
Your discussions with them, Mr. Mayor, we were able to extend the sidewalks from Kentucky Avenue on to Washington Street. So those, when you sit down with them, things happen.
Right.
Now, I know there are some issues with State Road 3 and Indiana Avenue that, Mayor, you're concerned about, and I'm sure you've talked to them about it.
Yeah, we've actually already got some engineering numbers for, once they get out of 3, we're gonna have to figure out a way to get it to the river.
Oh, boy.
But we did discuss with them putting in larger pipes in the Indiana in 3.
Will that be on us, or will that be?
Well, what's under 3 will be on them,
Okay.
but we still have to get it out of there, so that'll be on us.
So will that be part of, like, the water
No.
separation
No.
project?
No.
It'll just be
Totally
on
separate,
us?
Yeah, and we're still talking a couple of years down the road.
Right. Are we still talking about sidewalks?
Yes, we are gonna have sidewalks on both sides from Broad Street all the way to Trojan Lane. We'll have crosswalks.
Both
at every-
sides?
Both sides. We'll have crosswalks at every light, every intersection that has a traffic light. And they are gonna put a sidewalk on the east side of State Road 3 from Trojan Lane all the way up to Sherry Lynn when they redo it. Now, there won't be any raised medians between Trojan Lane and Sherry Lynn, but there's actually gonna be only 2 lanes going in each direction, north and south, with a raised median and a turn lane at every traffic light. So it's probably gonna have an impact, a negative impact on a lot of businesses as far as turning left. But their study showed that they had a lot of accidents and even fatalities in between traffic lights from these 90-degree turns coming out of businesses and going in. So there's gonna be a lot of adjustment. It's kind of gonna be similar to what they did in Greenfield on State Road 9.
Yeah.
In 19, there was no question, no sidewalks, not even considered, no, out. In 21, it kind of gave in to sidewalk on one side.
That's kind of why it got shoved back for so long, because when we asked for sidewalks
Thank
and
you
all
very
that,
much.
and had to find some more money, so it got shoved back.
I'll take a little bit of responsibility.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that
I think
one,
he was
so.
one of them, and maybe Rex or somebody.
Rex was part of that too.
But we got it done. I mean, they're funding all of it.
The only thing I wish they would do is, I wish they would put a crosswalk there by Walmart, so people could.
There's been discussion on doing one up
Get
there.
across.
Yeah, I think.
Because then they could get from there to Ivy Tech and
Right, right.
other places.
Well, and even, we brought up last time, literally putting a sidewalk from Jamestown to Walmart, on that side of the road. So,
Which would be.
So,
yeah,
They say a lot of people from the apartments actually.
But it's
walk
still a
away.
year and a half away, and
Yeah.
they'll make changes.
Yeah.
There'll be changes.
it changes every meeting.
Hopefully to the good.
It changes every meeting.
Yeah, they're still preliminary.
so Dave, you felt pretty good about the meeting on the 10th?
Yes.
I'm really excited. I really am, especially because I didn't expect both sides, the three. so
Like I say,
that's-
the positive outcome is the sidewalks. They're going to put a 6-foot sidewalk on either side. You know, like I said, it may impact some businesses. You know, it takes time for change.
It
You
does.
can't turn left into a business or pull out. You got to go right. But there's no law against U-turns unless it's posted. They made that clear.
Well, I really appreciate you guys bucking for that, because as a story I told here, seeing the family walking down 3 going to work with 2 little kids, one in a stroller,
We see that a
I've
lot.
seen that many
and
times.
Yeah, a lot.
picking them up out of the snow, off the road, and I said.
On Road 3, not on the side of the
No,
road.
Yeah.
On Road 3.
Right, anytime.
So I really appreciate your guys' effort on that.
I think I did notice the only place I seen a break in the raised median was at the cemetery.
Okay.
You know, you have one just south of the light where you have the
Right.
main entrance. Of course, that makes sense, you know, if you have a funeral going in there.
That's all I had. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Jerry. Mr. Dickens?
Spent a lot of time with my kids at what we lovingly call the Puke Park, which is the new addition in Baker Park with all the spinny things and climbing things. And last time I was out there, sat on one of those benches, super mild evening with the breeze, and was thinking, I think Danny Bell actually shared that when Mayor Sidney Baker protected that land back in early 1900s, that it was actually referred to as Baker's Folly, because they all thought he was crazy and they thought it was a waste. And I thought, man, I actually was able to send some pictures to his granddaughter and just reflected on how, I mean, true leadership is planting trees, sometimes literally, under whose shade you will not sit. And she said, he did get to enjoy the park and see his grandkids enjoy the park, but just thank you for how that continues to develop. It's a real gem. And, as we pass this resolution this evening, I am very proud of how we've worked with the Little League organization and the softball organization. And I hope now we can start to look at how we can work with Miracle League. And I hope that they'll apply for grants as well. But, with that being our property, I hope that's next at some point. So that's all I have.
Mr. Coger?
Going to bring up again the railroad crossings, A, G, and I avenues. Is there something, Joel, good faith, something where, is there a wall we can scoot around, skid around, whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, I think there is something, that we can look at.
It's just something where, the city can go in and do some patchwork. Obviously not to disrupt the railroad, but to at least make it, safe to travel over, let alone our personal vehicles, but you gotta remember all of our emergency vehicles going over that. I can't imagine the first aid going over and they're saying, hey, hang on, slowing down there, it happens. Those 3 intersections for sure. If we could look into something, and, I mean, we'll find the money if we could just.
Okay,
get that.
absolutely.
Thanks. That's all I got.
Mr. Purdue?
Just a quick update on Trojan Lane. I know everybody's heard the positive chatter about how wonderful it looks. I talked with Webb's today. They are hoping to finish that tomorrow, that project up. The light poles have been delivered and they're on city property. The lighting heads are not. That's still. What? We did? Hey, the light heads are.
Midnight Sunday night, I just about called you.
Okay, all right.
Truck pulled in midnight Sunday night.
Outstanding, so hopefully by before Labor Day, we'll have a lot of it up.
Duke already has the work order in to take the other poles down, so it's already,
And it works.
it's already rolling.
Outstanding, all right, that's all I
Lynn,
got.
thank you for all the work you've done on that.
Well,
It's
the work's not
awesome.
over yet,
Yeah,
you know.
but
but-
it's awesome.
But we're getting close.
That's a gateway to our community. and it's-
Oh, it certainly is, and it's,
It's good.
that's it.
You know, I was driving around this weekend, you know, you go back 8 or 9 or 10 years and there just wasn't much going on. Yeah, and I drove around, had the farmer's market, had some people at the 1400 Plaza, we had the Pointer Brothers at the skate park, there was a big tennis tournament going on. I mean, there was
Softball
was,
tournaments.
yeah, lots of other stuff, Little League, softball, and all these different, I mean, things are going pretty good, and it's kind of, it just makes you feel good to see all that happen and know you're a little part of it, you know, and I do really appreciate the mayor and Dave. I mean, I never call Dave Barker that I don't get an answer right then that's knowledgeable, or he calls me back. Same thing with Greg Phipps, same thing with Lee Walker. You know, same thing with our police, fire, and EMS, you know. And that just reflects on our mayor, because he hired those guys, you know, and anyway, I'm just proud to be a part of Newcastle, and that's all I've got, Your Honor.
Thank you. You can only be as good as the people you surround yourself with. So, simple fact. Chief, you have anything this evening?
I do not.
Chief? Mike? Well, you got a lot to talk about, man. There's a lot of, got the puke park going,
Should have copyrighted that,
Got-
by the way.
got a lot going on. The parks look outstanding
Should've
with
said
the
T.
park board and everything. It's taken a lot of elbow grease. I mean, it didn't just fall in place. It didn't just happen. So appreciate all your effort. Anything, Dave?
Yeah, Milestone should be back in town. I think they told me the 25th. Is that Tuesday of next week?
Something like
Yes.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
To do the restoration where, from phase 4, all the roads out there. I knew Mike was needing an answer on that, so we'll see how the weather holds up, see if they hold true to that. Doug Denny, those guys, 2 weeks ago told me that they were gonna start on curb ramps this week, but I tried reaching out to him and left him a message today, didn't hear from him, and I didn't see him in town, so I'll try again tomorrow to see where they're at. But I think they said all the curb ramps, they were gonna try to do ADA ramps starting this week, and they needed about 3 or 4 weeks, and they were gonna start milling and paving, so I figure the paving will start middle of next month.
So are they gonna get Washington Street fixed there in
That's
front of
part of the
where we're at?
phase 4 project. When Milestone comes back, we actually added that to that project. They were supposed to do that last time they were
Right.
down. And they were aware of it, but I'm not sure they got the memo to Milestone, Lycan's contracting.
Okay, I'm just concerned about the start of schools, is my concern.
Oh, yeah, that's on the team that's coming next week.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, that's all.
Counselor?
I don't have anything tonight.
Brenda? Kendra? Greg? Anything? Mel?
No, sir.
Oh, man. Well, I'm just telling you, that seat usually brings something up. It usually talks about something.
My boss told me to behave, so I'm trying to follow his direction.
It is, Rex, it is exciting to see things happening. I mean, we had the last year we had the state boys little league tournament here, and they're playing on the same diamonds that I played on 55 years, that we played on 55 years ago. The girls, I think the state championship game was tonight, wasn't it? Or was it? Oh, was it? So out at Osborne Park, we had state championship girls out here. So it is exciting to see a lot of things moving in the right direction. And appreciate the Pointer Brothers for putting that event on that they put on this weekend. My grandkids the same way, Aaron. You know, they can't take them anywhere. They want to stop there, and the first thing they do is they throw their shoes off before they even get to the playground. They throw them off running to it. So it is a nice facility, and I'm glad to see us get some color and something permanent in the park, especially in the middle where kids can't get out to the street. And I still see Frisbee golf growing. I mean, I every time I'm driving by, and I'll stop talk to somebody, there's a lot of people coming in from out of town playing Frisbee golf. So it is exciting to see those things moving forward. That's all I have. Oh, and Lynn, if you want to come down and see those lights in the morning,
All right.
give me a call.
Give me a shout.
Okay, now we'll move to resolutions and ordinances. Our first thing is a resolution. Resolution authorizing the, Resolution 07172023-1, a resolution authorizing the allocation of coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds for the provision of specified government services and further amending the city's written plan for expenditure. Now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Newcastle, Indiana as follows. 1. The Common Council hereby allocates a sum of up to $15,000 for the Parks and Recreation Department to provide and install safety measures and features near the Little League softball diamonds at Osborne Park as the Parks Department sees fit, such as guardrails, poles and cables, bollards, rocks, and etc. 2, the fiscal written plan for the expenditure of revenue received from the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund is attached here too as Exhibit A. The remaining sums received by the City of Newcastle through said fund may be utilized for any of the purposes set forth in 42 U.S. Code 803C. The written plan will be amended from time to time as determined by the Common Council in advance of expenditures. I would move we pass this resolution.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, then we'll do a roll call vote.
Mike Guffey.
Aye.
Jeff Hancock.
Aye.
Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Hover.
Aye.
Lynn Purdue.
Aye.
Rex Steckenball.
Aye. Okay, now we're going to move on to our ordinance. Okay, we're going to amend ordinance, this is ordinance 3903, an ordinance amending chapter 95 of the city code. Now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Newcastle, Indiana as follows. Section 95.07B of the city code shall be amended to read as follows. A, where brush is involved, brush and limbs collected and cut by the owner or occupant of a residence and not a third-party contractor must be cut and placed at curbside. Arrangements must be made by contacting the city street department for pickup of such materials on an individual basis. This part is a change. Brush and limbs must be placed curbside in one pile that does not exceed 4 feet in height and 10 feet in length. All limbs and brush within the pile must not exceed 5 feet in length. The street department will not collect brush and limbs unless it is situated in a manner that conforms with this subsection. B, brush or limbs shall not be accumulated or placed curbside in a quantity or manner that exceeds the requirements permitted in this section for removal by the street department. C, the owner or occupant of a property upon which any pile or brush or limbs is accumulated or placed curbside in a quantity or manner that exceeds the requirements permitted under the section shall be responsible for the removal of the brush or limbs. If the owner or occupant does not remove the brush or limbs within 5 days after being notified by the city to do so, the person shall be assessed a fine in the amount of no less than $250, in addition to any other remedy available to the city under the code or Indiana law. Okay. So that is the completion of that. So we can discuss it. I'll move with past 3903.
Who will be notifying the property owners and how?
It would probably be the building inspector's office, and they'd probably notify by writing.
Right.
Yeah.
So when a property owner sets this pile out, does he need to call the street
Yes.
department?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it says it in there.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
It went right over my
He
head.
just read it.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Didn't hear it either, right?
Well, I got you lulled to sleep, I think, with all that reading.
Okay. So just another thing, what, I know Lee discussed some of this, what brought this up? Is it nothing to do with tree surfaces coming to town, right?
No, which I got a problem with them too.
I do too.
When they leave
Because they don't take
12-foot
their,
stumps.
they don't take their stuff with them either.
Yeah.
Or there's anything that we can do?
I was gonna ask that, Mike.
Because they leave the big wood laying around, we had to get our street department to go clean it
Well,
up.
our street department's been picking it up, yeah. We've talked to them, got on them and
Send them a bill.
tell them they can't.
I mean,
Yeah, that's,
they're working for public, they're working for Duke.
Right. Do they have to have a permit? I mean, Kenny's not here, but.
I don't think they have to.
yeah, they do. Yeah,
Right,
they
they
do.
do.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
have.
that's gotta be
The city
worked into that.
city's picking up logs where?
Well, when they go in and like,
Well, I've had
perfect
two taken
example
out.
was Indiana Avenue.
Yeah.
They went down through there and they trimmed out the lines. Well, the trees they cut down, they
They
just
just
left them
leave.
on the property owner, and the property owner just let them set. So we went through and picked them up and got them off the site.
They run
We're talking about
sidewalks,
two different
too.
things. That Indiana Avenue, number
Maybe-
one, they left 10, 12-foot tall
Yes,
stumps.
they did.
And they didn't even, I mean, they just skinned the tree. And they took the small branches, but if it was larger around than 6 or 8 inches, they just left it
They
laying.
left it.
Maybe we need to deal with this ordinance
Mhm.
and then discuss, because they're two separate entities.
Well, we need to clarify just where our responsibilities lies, because I had two dropped in my backyard, and I had to pay several $1,000s to get
Yep.
them removed.
Right. Now, there are some people that's having those trees dropped, but then they're dragging it all out to the curb and expecting the city to come pick it up, and there's a whole block full of brush there. The ordinance reads that if someone pulls shrubs out from their house, it's up to us to get those. If they're trimming their trees,
Right, right.
smaller branches, then it's up to the city to pick those up. But when they literally hire somebody to come in and shape 3 trees and then pile it all up on the curb, that's not the city's responsibility to pick up what should be the homeowner's. Your trees in your backyard, that's up, you own those trees. City doesn't own those trees.
Correct, I understand that, yeah.
So we're kind of talking about two different things, but this applies to your backyard, front yard, or shrubs around the house.
And you cut.
Says you.
Yeah.
It gets abused
But
a
Or you
lot.
had personally, you hired someone to cut them.
Right.
Yeah. And I think the ordinance changes how you put them out at the street. Like, that's the change, right?
Yeah, it makes it explicit what I understand to be the
Yeah.
current practice. I mean, the current practice says, make arrangements with the street department, is what I understand the street department's practice is consistent with
Yeah.
this.
When they're licensed and all that, how often do they have to renew their license? Is it yearly?
Like building it's yearly. Tree trimmer, how often they have to renew their license.
We need to talk about whether.
So I think
a tree trimmer
when they
comes.
renew them, it should be big bold letters that they're responsible.
Okay, but they go to your backyard and you say,
If they drop one.
how much you charge me if I had the city haul the,
Yeah.
so everybody wants to get it $200 cheaper.
I got a better one there. My neighbors fell on my property and I had to pay for all of it to get cleaned up because of that.
Yeah, so in that conversation, they're asking the tree trimmer, how much you knock off if I had the city come pick it up?
Yeah, tree trimmers will say, well, we can't do that.
Okay,
but
you're
yeah.
gonna remove all this wood.
They do.
Well, if we
Yeah.
find a tree trimmer,
Somebody doesn't
Yeah.
say
maybe
that,
that, maybe
clear
they'll make a
it up.
point.
All of a sudden,
Yeah.
That's what they're having trouble with.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Mike Duffy.
Aye.
Jeff Hancock.
Aye.
Jerry Walsh.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Kogut.
Aye.
Lynn Perdue.
Aye.
Brent Spexler.
Aye. Okay, that concludes our do we want to have a discussion on the other issue? I mean, we can discuss.
We'll make a
that.
motion to adjourn.
Okay, it's been moved to adjourn.
Next time.
I think it's okay for Joel
Just
to
for,
look into it.
for clarification, I was looking at the red lettering because that's all that matters. I didn't see where you had to call it in. Red only matters.
Hey, I just know you don't